Hello students, welcome back to this Fundamental of Agronomy series. And so far we have covered so many things about the crop, about different cropping system, and like meteorology, agrometeorology, soil, tillage, then seed and sowing, crop establishment method, etc. Today we are going to discuss about plant population. About plant population. In this lecture, we will discuss what plant population means and how it is affecting the uh, productivity or growth of the crop, right? So yield of the crop, yield of any crop, yield means what? It is expressed in the economic output in kg per hectare. Okay. So yield is basically the economic output in kg per hectare. So yield of any crop depends on the final plant population. So how many number of plant population means what? How many number of plants are there in 1 meter square or in 1 hectare? So plant population means how many number of plants are there in 1 meter square or unit area, or in 1 hectare how many number of plants are there. So that is called plant population, and yield is ultimately depend on the final plant population. So why it is necessary? And this final plant population, it is a function of viable seed. So what is the viability of the seed we have shown, what is the germination percentage of the seed, what is the survival rate. Okay. So these characters, they affect the final plant population. So why it is needed, the final plant population, optimum final plant population, why it is needed? To get the maximum yield and to utilize maximum solar radiation. So the number of plants, uh, if the if there is optimum number of plants, then the canopy coverage will be optimum and they can harvest maximum solar radiation. So that is our main goal in agriculture. Okay, to harvest maximum solar radiation, to utilize maximum solar radiation, because solar radiation is the source of all energy, and solar radiation, it splits of the water molecule and it reduces the carbon dioxide to form glucose molecule, right? So if we are increasing the plant population, what happens in the field? If we are increasing the plant population, the number of the plant height increases, because there will be internal competition. That means intra species competition will be there. So one plant will try to overcome another plant to get maximum solar radiation. Then leaf thickness decreases, yield per unit area increases but yield per plant decreases. So what happens when there is more number of plants in a particular area? That means we have grown or we have raised that plant in a closer spacing. When we are doing that, then intra plant competition will be more, which will reduce the yield per unit plant. But as the number of plants increases, uh, per unit area the number of plants will be more, so per unit area the yield will be more. Okay. Now when final plant population, if full yield potential we want from a particular plant, then individual plant we have to space it in wider spacing. Okay, so if we want to explore the plant, that means if we want certain plant to its maximum potential, then we have to plant that at a wider spacing, because at wider spacing there is no competition or intra plant competition. So the plant can perform better, individual plant can perform better. Next, maximum yield per unit area if we want, then closely spaced plants. We have to plant the species with closely spacing. Then plants with severe competition, the plants will be, competitive for each other, and that's why their unit, per plant yield will be reduced. Okay, what we have already discussed. So this is a graph indicating the relationship between yield and plant population. Suppose plant population we are increasing, then what happens? The yield is increasing, yield per unit area is increasing. When we are increasing the plant population, then yield per unit area increasing. When we are decreasing the plant population, then yield per plant is increasing. When we are, see here, increasing plant population, the yield per plant decreasing. Okay, but when we are increasing the again plant population, yield per unit area increasing. So this is the increasing trend, this is the decreasing trend. So when we are increasing the plant population, what happens? So this type of questions are coming in competitive exam, you have to remember. So when we are increasing the plant population, see, the yield per unit area that is increasing, but yield per plant that is decreasing. Now, less yield with higher plant density. So why it happens? Because in case of indeterminate plants, there is numbers of years that decreases. Number of years decreases in case of indeterminate plant. In case of determinate plants, number of years per panicle that decreases. Okay, size of years decreases. So in case of determinate plants, what happens? Number of year per unit area decreases, but in case of determinate plant, the size of the ear that decreases. Okay, the size of the ears decreases per panicle. Now, among the yield attributes, the test weight is the most suitable character. Among the yield attribute, which one is the most suitable character? Test weight or seed size is the most stable character. Suitable, not suitable, but stable character. Why it is stable? Because this mostly not affected by environmental factor or whatever input we are putting. Because test weight, it is a internal character. That means it is governed by the genes. Okay, so how long the seed will be, how thick the seed will be, what is the length width ratio or length breadth ratio of the seed, what is the size of the seed, what will be the size of the seed, what will be the weight of the seed, that is governed by genes. Okay, now there is a relationship called holiday response curve. One relationship here we look at, like what is the relationship between yield and plant population. Another relationship is there, that is relationship between plant population or density with yield, and that was propounded by Holiday, one scientist named Holiday in 1960. He proposed two types of response curve in relationship to like plant population and yield, or density and yield. Okay, one is called asymptotic relationship or response curve, another one is parabolic response curve. Okay, asymptotic response curve and parabolic response curve. So what asymptotic response curve says, suppose this is the, this is the relationship yield upon plant population. So asymptotic means if we are increasing the plant population will go, the yield will go on increasing with increasing in plant population. It will maintain the highest point, then it will remain constant. In case of asymptotic response curve, what happens when we are increasing the plant population? The yield increases and it reaches the plateau, then it remains constant. And this is the equation for that: y is equal to ap plus 1 by 1 plus abp. Another one is parabolic response curve. In parabolic response curve, what happens? If we increasing again the plant population, the yield will increase up to a plateau level, then it will decrease. Okay, so that is parabolic response curve, that is y is equal to a plus bp plus cp square. So these are two types of response curve. So asymptotic response curve basically recorded in case of the plants where the economic part is the canopy. Okay, so where the economic part is the biological part, that means the either leaf or canopy or stem. Okay, so there what happens, there what happens, the number of plants we are increasing, the yield will increase and it will not decrease, because ultimately the number of plants will be will affect the yield, because here economic part is complete biomass or the leaf or canopy. Then another one is parabolic response curve. It is shown in case of other, like where the grain or fruit is the economic part, like cereals and pulses. There the parabolic response curve is observed. That means there if we are increasing the plant population, it will the yield will increase up to certain point or plateau, then it will decrease, then it will fall. Okay. Now, extent of plateau in parabolic curve, it depends on the elasticity of the plant. So when the plateau will reach in parabolic curve, suppose here the plateau is reaching, it depends on the elasticity of the plant. That means it is the tendency how it can sustain to any internal competition. Okay. Next, some other type of response curve are there, like square root response curve, reciprocal response curve. You can look at that. Then assimilate partitioning. What does it mean? Assimilate partitioning means, so how much photosynthate that is assimilated or accumulated in a plant, from where from source to which part it is diverting and how much it is diverting. So basically it indicates the source sink relationship. Okay, source means the leaf, where the food is being produced, and sink means where it is used or it is diverted or stored. Okay. Now, Donald in 1963 proposed a relationship between yield and plant density with the help of interplant competition. Okay. Now, removal of auxiliary board reduces the elasticity of plant. So, when we remove the auxiliary board, it reduces the elasticity of the plant. Solar radiation interception is directly proportional to dry matter accumulation. So, what does it mean? So, the more the solar radiation we can intercept, the more the dry matter we can get. Now, see, this is the relationship between plant population and dry matter accumulation again. So, when we are talking about biological yield, then the plant population or increasing in plant population, the total biomass that is accumulated in a unit area that increases. Okay, but grain yield after certain point it decreases. Okay, after reaching plateau, vegetative yield that increases. Okay, so this is the scenario. Then, so when we have discussed about, I mean, plant population, its relationship between yield, its relationship with dry matter accumulation. But what is the most important factor influencing optimum plant population? That is the, I mean, that is the canopy coverage, of course. Then, because canopy coverage indicates or leaf area index that determines the optimum spacing, and optimum spacing depends on, I mean, determines the number of plants that will be in the unit area. So it is more governed by day length rather than temperature. Optimum plant population for red gram for kharif crop. This is one example. For kharif crop, it is 55,000. For rabi crop, it is 3.33 lakhs. So in kharif crop, optimum moisture you are getting, optimum nutrition you are getting. So more vigorous plant will be there. So that's why the spacing is reduced, and the plant population is reduced significantly. In high fertility area for non-tillering plant, high plant population necessary to get higher yield. Okay, so if the plant is of non-tillering type, then and the fertility level is high, then closer spacing or higher plant population is required to get maximum out of the condition. Increase in plant population increases the fruiting in upper, I mean, canopies. For example, in cotton, more bolls in sympodial branches when closely planted. Plant geometry, it is basically the shape of the plant. So how the plant is look like, then for maintaining plant geometry, we have to trim the plant. What is crop geometry? It is basically the space we are providing for a particular plant. That is the plant to plant spacing and row to row spacing, or row to row spacing into plant to plant spacing. That is crop geometry. Remember, what is the difference between plant geometry and crop geometry? Then planting method. There are different planting methods we are adopting. One is square planting, where the row to row spacing is equal to plant spacing. Then rectangular planting, where the row to row spacing uh, is more than plant to plant spacing. Then skip row planting, where we are skipping one row, mostly followed in dry land agriculture. Then paired row planting, we are skipping, we are reducing the plant, width gap or row to row gap between two row of the crop. Then we are increasing the spacing. Then again closely row. This is called paired row planting. Acha, to maintain the optimum plant population, what we do, that is called gap filling. Okay, gap filling is advantageous in case of long duration, widely spaced crop. So here, to maintain the gap, if any plant is not germinating, if it fails to germinate or establish, then we need to go for gap filling. So when it is done, so at early stage, like around 10 to 14 days, we can go for gap filling. Okay. So this is all about, I mean, plant population and how it is affecting the crop growth and development, I mean, crop yield and biomass. So if you have any doubt on this particular topic or any other topic of agriculture or agronomy, you can let me know so that we can make a particular video or lecture on that. Until then, keep reading, keep growing. Bye bye.